Hi, I'm Victoria Valdez, a Master's of Marriage and Family Therapy clinician here in Brentwood, Tennessee, and I service children, teens, parents, families, and women living in the state of Tennessee. So this talk or webinar is going to be about supporting your teens' mental health. So I'm going to talk about 5 categories, tell you a little bit about myself, give you some tips, and give you as much information as possible. Always remember, this webinar is not to replace therapy at all. This is just for educational purposes. Okay, so welcome. I already told you a little bit about what I do. In addition to being a counselor, I am also a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a Latin dancer. I like dancing salsa, merengue, cumbia, bachata. I am also neurodivergent, which means I have ADHD. And I'm a play advocate and a mental health care advocate. And I also do parent coaching for parents who need, different from therapy, but need some extra guidance on how to discipline their children age appropriately and change your relationship with their children in a different way. I love this quote: "You can discover more about a person in an hour of play than you can in a year of conversation." I'm passionate about using play therapy in all age groups, but specifically from ages about 4 to 11. It really says a lot. All right, so our learning objectives is going to be, I'm going to define what mental health is. We're going to talk about the top mental health issues with children and teens. We're going to talk about ones that are most common, and then the factors that influence child mental health or teen mental health, and some tips on how to improve your children's mental health, things that you can do. Okay, so what is mental health? So I like the WHO's, the World Health Organization's definition. So they say health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. I think it's a really powerful statement. CDC says that it's emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act. It also helps us determine how we handle stress related to others and make healthy choices. So that, in a nutshell, is how you can define mental health, right? A lot of times in mental health, we forget to realize how much what's happening here in our internal world influences our bodies, the way that we act, even even if you think of anxiety, how you get, really intense, like stomach pains for some people. When we get stressed, we get tension in our back, right? So our body really feels that. So here are some common mental health challenges for children and teens. And this is from 2016 CDC. This is not in any certain order. There's not like, oh, the number 1 is ADHD. Nothing like that. I just put them on the slide. So according to the CDC, these are the top ones: ADHD, anxiety disorders, depression, behavioral problems, autism spectrum, and then eating disorders. I know that during the time of the pandemic, there was a severe increase in anxiety and depression. So these are the diagnostical national rates percentage from the CDC, keeping in mind that not everybody reports, right? And not everybody gets treatment. So those numbers could be a lot higher. So 1 in 5 children ages 2 to 17 have a mental health disorder. And for ADHD, we know that 9.4%, so about 6.1 million children in any given year are diagnosed with ADHD ages 2 to 17. And for anxiety, age 3 to 17, there's approximately 4.4 million. For depression, 3 to 17 years of age, approximately 1.9 million. And then behavior issues, 3 to 17 years old, approximately 4.5 million. And then we know that half of all mental illnesses occur before the age of 14 and 75% by the age of 24. And this is from the Child Mind Institute research. So again, keep it in mind, we're looking in the millions here and thinking of all the kiddos and teens who don't even get treatment because no one knew that they had that going on. Okay, so things that influence our children. I'm going to use the word children, but I'm thinking of the ages of 2 to 3 all the way up to 17. So I will just say children. So, okay. We know that, and this is in just a random order: sleep, nutrition, exercise, self-esteem, and parenting styles. Lack of sleep. So 40% of children suffer from sleep problems. We know that if your kiddo is not getting enough sleep, we're going to see more impulsivity, more hyperactivity. They're going to be more cranky, right? Angry, moodiness. They're going to have more negative feelings. You're going to see a decrease of the attention. Concentration level is going to be really low, and their ability to self-regulate and manage their emotions when they're having big feelings is going to decrease. And then they're, again, then kind of thinking an increase of negative feelings, you're going to have a decrease of positivity. And then what we know that research has correlated that over time, chronic lack of sleep, not getting enough sleep hours can lead to depression, increases the risk to depression, anxiety, and other emotional disorders. And we know that sleep disrupts brain growth. Sleep is one of the most important times where our body rejuvenates and our brain rejuvenates. And if you're not getting enough of that, it really affects brain growth. So how much does our kiddos need, right? So we know the American Academy of Pediatrics says that kiddos between 6 and 12 years of age should get about 9 to 12 hours of sleep. And then 13 to 18 should get about 8 to 10 hours of sleep per day. Every kid is a little bit different, right? I've got 3 kids of my own. So my middle child, 8 years old, does good about, 9 hours. And then I have a teenager who does really well at 10 hours, 10 to 11 hours prime. So everyone is a little bit different. So things that can really help with your kids' relaxation to help them support their sleep is doing mindfulness, meditation, doing emotional freedom tapping, doing activities that are calming and relaxing, listening to like calming music, doing a rest time where they're just quiet time, the lights are down, using essential oils, relaxation, sleep teas. And then this is really important, limiting the screen time to about an hour before bedtime. Every kid's going to be different. So maybe your kid might need 2 hours before bedtime. And then if they're a teenager and they really need to do some schoolwork or there's something they're working on, blue light glasses, you can get those on Amazon or internet. And that will help with that blue light. And then getting enough sunlight and exercise during the daytime. So this is really important. Naturally, we produce melatonin. Our brain produces melatonin so that we can, it's our natural sleep, I call it sleep juice, right? Our sleep chemical. Our brain needs to produce enough so that it's nighttime, then it'll start to release into our body and we'll start to over time get sleepy. If you're not getting at a minimum at least 20 hours of sunlight, then your brain is not able to get enough production of the melatonin for nighttime. You're not getting enough exercise, same thing. So it's really important. And think about that blue light is influencing our brain to think that it's still daylight. So then that means, oh, our melatonin doesn't need to be being released right now because it's still daytime. So that's a really big, important one. Okay, nutrition. Let food be thy medicine and thy medicine shall be thy food. I really love that quote. So what research says, or what we've discovered through research, serotonin is a neurotransmitter that helps regulate sleep and appetite, mediate moods, and inhibit pain. And what we've learned is that 95% of our serotonin is produced in your gut. So it's really important because what we're eating is actually affecting that serotonin production. So you could be, if you're eating a lot of junk, and that's on the next slide, and the kids are eating, unhealthy, then you're really, cutting down your gut's ability to produce serotonin. And as you can see, it's a huge thing to regulate sleep and mood and appetite, right? So, and it's really important. A lot of times we're on the go, rush. It's important to teach good habits to our kids and teens and for ourselves, eating in a calm, relaxed state. Because if you're eating in a rush state, in like anxious state, then your stomach, your gut, right, isn't able to really process the food well. And it also interrupts the serotonin creation. So here's some nutrition tips. I know it's hard. It's going to be hard. If you're not already doing these things, it's going to be challenging, but not impossible. If you're already doing them, great. It's a reminder to keep going. So you want to reduce or eliminate refined sugars because that has links, according to research, to depression. We know sugar to stabilize mood, if you reduce and eliminate sugar, it'll help stabilize mood, reduce systemic inflammation, and diet drinks actually reduce serotonin. So there's a lot of foods as well that will also affect your body's ability to produce serotonin. Refined carbs and sugars like white bread, pizza dough, pasta, pastry, white flour, rice, white rice, sweet desserts, and many breakfast cereals. Also reduce the body's ability to produce serotonin. And then you want to eliminate trans fat, hydrogenated oils, additives, preservatives, and hormones. You want to increase, right? You want to nourish the first brain and the second brain, right? So your brain is 60% fat and it needs like avocados, walnuts, coconut oil, omega-3s. Those are the good healthy fats, right? Your second brain, which is your gut, you want to increase your fiber intake, fermented foods, kimchi, yogurt, kefir, miso, kombucha, sauerkraut, things like that. And then you want to eat complex carbs like kidney beans, navy beans, buckwheat, pinto beans, oats, sweet potato, things like that. And then here are some serotonins. Here's some foods that boost serotonin. We got spices like turmeric, tea, eggs, chicken, turkey, fish, spinach, almonds, pumpkin, sunflower seeds, seaweeds, legumes, dates, and bananas. Taking a breath. So you've got a lot of information so far. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the next component, which is exercise. So according to research, our kids and teens are not getting enough exercise. We know that less than 24% of children ages 6 to 17, less than 24% are getting 60 minutes of exercise a day. And we know that exercise reduces anxiety, depression, and stress, and improves your mood, memory, cognition functions, processing speed, mental alertness, and improves sleep. So you want to try to help your family and your kids get 60 to 30 minutes of anaerobic exercises daily, but it could be breaking it up, 10 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes after school, walking, jogging, dancing, cycling, swimming. They could do 10 minutes right after school for a brain break, right? And then for dinner time, you could do another 10 minutes, 10 or 15, 20 minutes. So trying to implement those things, make it fun, do it as a family, be a role model. Self-esteem. So we're going to cover that. So self-esteem for kids and teenagers, that's the feeling loved, heard, and supported and accepted, is really going to boost their self-esteem. Letting them be allowed to make decisions and make a compromise, you're going to really empower them on that. Having positive self-talk and teaching problem-solving skills, modeling that for them, what it is like to talk to yourself in a positive way using that language, and then teaching them and working through them how to problem solve. You're going to avoid criticism that's directed to your teen's personhood. So for an example, instead of, say the room is super messy, instead of saying, your room is filthy and you're just a lazy slob, right? Because you're fed up, right? And that's coming out. That would be an attack of their personhood. Rather, you could say something like, I would really like it, if you keep your clothes in the laundry basket rather than all over your room floor. Or you could say something like, it's better, you could say something like, I would prefer for you to put your laundry in the basket and it's easier to keep your room tidy. Rather than, making that statement of who they are. Use I statements. I feel, as a parent, you're modeling for them, saying, I feel disrespected when you don't follow my instructions. Things like that. Helping them discover their strengths and their passions is really going to help boost their self-esteem. Gratitude, practicing gratitude, volunteer work, self-care, and then limiting the social media. It's going to really help boost their self-esteem. We all know social media, it's the filter life, right? So they're getting doses and doses of images that aren't real or true, right? With all the filters and all of those things. And there's lots of comparison going on, right? So, and using descriptive phrases will really help boost self-esteem for children, all the way up to 18, and even with adults, right? A descriptive phrase is, instead of saying, "You're doing a great job," and it's kind of like, okay, cool, like that feels good, but what am I doing? What am I doing so great at, right? So this is where you can do a description. For example, if you're talking to, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7-year-old, "You did a really good job putting your shoes in the shoebox. That's where they belong." Or a teenager, "I see you studied really hard on that test and you earned that grade." Okay, so parenting styles. So these are the 4 that I'm going to cover. There's the authoritative, permissive, the uninvolved, and then the authoritarian. And I'm going to go down and break down what those are like. So the authoritative parent, if we look at go back to the list, that's the parent that is going to be more democratic. They're flexible. That's the type of parenting style that's going to want to compromise and let kiddos, make decisions. You're going to talk about, hey, why don't you guys plan together what a family trip could be like? That type of parenting style is going to have the belief of like, oh, it's okay for kids to ask questions, right, about things. So the authoritarian, they're going to be more demanding, right? The warmth is going to be low. That type of parenting style is, I like to use the example of a more, oh my gosh, it's escaping me. Dictatorship. There we go. You're going to have really high expectations. There's going to be boundaries that cannot ever be broken. And what I mean by that, there's no wiggle room, right? There's no compromise. It's my way or the highway. That here in this chart, it says, "Because I said so." This is a parenting style that doesn't believe that children should be allowed to ask questions. Just do what I say, period. And then the permissive parenting, that's going to be the person that, like, they're the boss, the kid is the boss. That parent's going to avoid confrontation, very few rules, more kind of, it's cool, do whatever you want, I'm here, but low expectations. Maybe that parent is going to be like, it's not a big deal if you do your homework, or more lenient, accepting, right? And then for the uninvolved parent, that parent's going to be more absent, little time. They're going to be more neglectful, passive. You're on your own, kind of thing. You'll figure it out, a little checked out. And when I talk about these parenting styles, I just want to make this disclaimer that if you feel that that's you on that list, after you learn about which parenting styles are helpful and which ones aren't, this is not to judge or step on anyone's culture or belief systems. This is to provide you education on. And if you think that's you and you're on one of these parenting styles that is not as helpful, well, now you recognize it and you can get some help and see how you can be a little bit different. Okay, so we know that the authoritative parenting style, so remember, that's the one that is more going to compromise more, the more democratic. You don't, kids don't have to do what I say just because I said so. More fostering autonomy, things like that. So that parenting style, according to research, says that those kids that get that parenting style develop into well-adjusted adults. They're going to be strong mentally and emotionally. They're going to have greater competency level, going to be more mature. They're going to have great assertiveness and have more self-control. The authoritarian, which is more of a dictatorship, right? Those kiddos who get just that dictator style, authoritarian parenting, those kiddos, according to research, are going to often rebel more, have more problematic behavior in the families and society. They often end up as juvenile delinquents, substance abuse users. A risk increases for that. There's a risk for them to be more hostile, more rebellious, more antisocial, and then there's a higher link to anxiety and depression. So then the permissive parenting, according to research, that those kiddos that got the permissive parenting are going to have a lack of restraint. That's often, you'll see that kind of parenting style with ADHD. The kiddos who have ADHD, there's no boundaries, no respect for personal space. You know, those kiddos or teens might seem a little bit more wild, be considered wild or out of control. They're all, if they're in, you know, entering teenagehood, you might see them often looking for love and affection, direction from others in the world versus from internally or from family. And they may fall into negative relationships. And then they're going to have decreased social competency and a decreased academic achievement. And then the uninvolved parent, if the kid or teen has experienced that type of parenting, then according to research, those kiddos might have an increased risk for depression, have more externalizing behaviors, meaning instead of internalizing feelings, they're going to be showing out more, maybe more aggressive behaviors, higher risk for delinquent behaviors, hostility, and attention problems. So here's some quick parenting tips. You want to negotiate and compromise with your kids. Give them room to ask questions and have ideas. I'm going to give you a good example. A consequence with a teenager. Perhaps you're taking their phone up and in the moment you were so angry, you know, their grades aren't passing, and you say, I'm going to take it away for 2 weeks. Using negotiating, compromising, the teen says, hey, I know I haven't been doing well, but could we just not have it at school, and maybe on the weekends I can have it if I show that I'm improving by next week. And then the parent gets to think about that and say, okay, that's reasonable, right? That's that negotiating, compromising, empathizing with your children, letting them know it's okay to feel their feelings instead of telling them to stop feeling that way, or that they shouldn't feel that way. Teaching problem solving skills over and over again, using meditation and mindfulness, again, using the I statements, I feel, rather than you're a slob or you're lazy, right? And then making connection activities, playing with them at any age. Refraining from using shame statements. Working on your own stuff is the best gift you can give your kids. Working on your own anxiety and stress. And then modeling self-care and your positive talk, right? The positive self-talk. And then letting them lead and make decisions, right? An example of that is in family meetings. You can have kids take part on planning a vacation. I really like that one. Or a staycation, or planning the meals, right? And what that would look like. So not only are you teaching life skills, but you're letting them have the experience to lead. Okay. Okay, when to get help. So for getting help, if your kiddo is feeling depressed, you notice lots of anxiety, maybe you've seen that their grades are falling, they've gone from extrovert to introvert, they're isolating more, you're getting more phone calls from teachers or something off, things like that. Those are things you want to take notice of and bring it up to a medical health provider or seek out some therapy. This is not an exhaustive list. This is just a few things to keep in mind. What help can look like. It can be like family therapy. It could be play therapy. It could be parent modification training. Or parent coaching, right? It could be medication, going to see a medical doctor, and then being next to a psychiatrist. Any of those things to kind of help with mental health. If you want to learn more from me, you can go to my website, victoria-valdez.com, and there you can look at my blog, which I tend to post blogs about different type of mental health or parenting tips. I've got educational videos on TikTok, Instagram, and on YouTube, so you can learn more, and stay tuned for that. Okay, well, thank you guys for attending this. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I hope you got information, or it piqued your curiosity to learn more. I'll see you guys next time.